REC Experience presents Real Estate, Entrepreneurship, Leadership with your host, Jazz Takhar. The REC Experience podcast is now on air.
Hey, thanks for being in the REC Experience. I'm your host, Jazz Takhar, with your girl, Laura L. Stewart. How you doing, Laura?
I'm doing fabulous today.
That's good. We just finished a 12-hour real estate marathon on the weekend. We had a little over 2,000 attendees on our webinar.
I think I'm still on a high.
I am definitely on a high, and I'm glad that we're on a high because we need to bring the energy with the guest that we have today. It's a legend that is joining us. And a fellow Canadian, a fellow Torontonian as well. It is Mr. Bob Proctor. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Jazz. Thank you.
There is masters in so many different industries. Like there's, in my opinion, the master of hockey was Mario Lemieux. Some would say Wayne Gretzky. The master of basketball, I still think, was Kobe Bryant. Who we have today is definitely the master thinker. He has been in the industry of self-development, author, international bestseller author. Bob, I want to take it back a little bit because I myself have had a lot of mentors in my life, both like live mentors as well as mentors from afar, including yourself. I am honored, and we are honored to have you on our podcast. You were mentored by Mr. Earl Nightingale. Like, can you talk a little bit about how that happened and how he played a role in your life? And then I also know one of your favorite books, and correct me if I'm wrong, is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, that someone called the Bible in some sorts. Can you talk a little bit about that? There it is. And
sure.
I also have a book here as well, one of my favorites, just so you know.
There you go. I was on the East York Fire Department in 1961, and I was going nowhere in a hurry. I was always broke, and I met a guy, Ray Stanford, and Ray gave me this book, and he said, if you study this, you can have anything you want. Now, of course, I didn't believe that. I was earning $4,000. I owed $6,000, and I was going nowhere. I had 2 months high school. I had no business experience. And I started to read this, and everything started to change. He told me, he says, you got to have a goal. Write your goal on a card. Read it as often as possible. And he said, what do you really want? All I wanted was some money. I figured if I had some money, the problems would all go away. And so I wrote in the card I was going to have $25,000 by 1970. Now, I wrote this in the card in 1961. I still carry a gold card in my pocket. But at any rate, within a year, I began to think of earning money. Now, prior to that, I wasn't. Do you know that a lot of people that are in debt, in fact, I think most people that are in debt, they never think of earning money. They think of debt. Their goal is to get out of debt. If a person's goal is to get out of debt, they're going to stay in debt forever because that's all they're thinking about. And that's all they talk about. Well, I started to read this card and I started to think of earning money. And you'd say, well, weren't you thinking of that before? No. And now, this is just in retrospect. I'm aware of what I'm telling you.
Right.
And I said, no, I wasn't. And because I was thinking about it, I started to hear people talk about it. And I met a guy, said there's good money cleaning floors. I said, I'm not proud, I'll clean floors. I started cleaning one office over on Comstock Road, Canada Starch.
Yes.
I got $15 a time for washing the floor, and I washed it twice a month. Then I got a contract to clean Kirby's Construction on Wicksteed Avenue. Now I'm up to $95 a month. Do you know, in less than 5 years, I was cleaning offices in Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Cleveland, Atlanta, and London, England.
Wow.
If you had asked me what I was doing, I had no idea what the hell I was doing. You said, well, I was earning over $1 million a year, and I really thought I was cleaning offices. Cleaning offices was almost incidental to what I was doing. I think I would have, if I had been selling cars, I would have been doing the same thing. I started reading this book, and then I got Earl Nightingale's condensed narration of the book on a long playing record. And I was fascinated listening to him. I never heard anyone talk like that. Now, keep in mind, I was born during the Depression, and I was 5 years old, 6 years old, the world went to war. So I was, it was always poverty, you know. Everybody around me was in poverty. And I never heard anybody talk the way Earl Nightingale was talking. I became absolutely fascinated listening to him. Now, I never thought of him as a person. I don't think of, never thought where he lived, anything like that. It was just a voice and just great information. And I got addicted to listen to the records. Now, I'm going to jump ahead about 5 years. I was in London. I was totally irresponsible. I was earning all kinds of money. I'd go down to the Playboy Club on Park Lane. It was right beside the London Hilton. I'd play roulette, and I didn't care if I lost, so I usually won. And one day, I thought, how the hell did this happen? I mean, up until I was 26, I was struggling all the time. And then all of a sudden, like that, everything changed. And you know, I couldn't tell you why my life changed, and I couldn't find anybody else that could tell me. I'd been raised to believe if you're going to earn a lot of money, you got to be really smart. That's not true. I knew it wasn't true because I knew I wasn't very smart, but I was earning a lot of money. I was raised to believe if you don't go to school, you'll never get a good job. I didn't have a good job. I owned the whole company. And so I started, somebody must know why I changed, and I started to study. It took me 9.5 years.
Wow.
And when I figured it out, all I wanted to do was teach it. And Earl Nightingale was the best in the world at the time. He and his partner, Lloyd Conant. So I left my own business. I took a job for $18,000 a year to go to work for them. I would have paid them to let me work there.
Sure.
You see, over the 9.5 years, I really learned something valuable. If you want to win, go to the very best and do exactly what they tell you. And that is what most people will not do. Most people that want to win, they talk to their brother-in-law, the guy next door that hasn't got any idea how to win. And they sit down over a couple of beers and they're going to brainstorm how to make it happen. You know, Carlyle said he didn't believe in the collective wisdom of individual ignorance. If you want to win, you go to the best. Find out what they do and then do exactly the same thing. And that's what I've done. I've had about 7 mentors, 6 or 7, and they were the best at what they did, the very best. And I followed them.
How did you find them? How did you go about finding these mentors?
You know, I think they found me. I had studied this. I wanted to teach it, but I was shy. And I was doing okay in business, but I was shy. And I would have a hard time standing up and speaking to people. And I was in a meeting in the O'Hare Hyatt in Chicago, and Bill Gove was speaking. Bill Gove was possibly the best speaker in the world, public speaker. He's gone now, but he was incredible. And I was watching him, and we had an audience of about 1,000 people in that ballroom. There was a center aisle and 2 banks of people, about 500 in each one. He was standing at the front corner of the one, and he had a handheld mic in his hand, and he's saying, if I want to be free, I've got to be me. Not the me I think you think I should be. Not the me I think my kids think I should be. Not the me I think my wife thinks I should be. If I want to be free, I've got to be me. Well, I was sitting in the back corner, standing in the back corner of the ballroom, watching him, and I think, my God, this guy is so good at what he's doing. And I was thinking, if only I could do that. Now, I've been listening to a record of Earl Nightingale's. I've got the record over here. Scott, give me this record. I've been listening to this record probably 10,000 times. And I'm not exaggerating.
I don't think
I'm not
you still have
exaggerating.
the book. You still hold the book.
Hold on, here, I'll show you. This here is a handheld record player.
Never seen that. I've never seen that before.
Before we start, I'd like you to know that I'm not going to try to tell you how to live your life. That's none of my business, nor is it anybody else's business. That's your business. Nor is this Lead the Field program a collection of pleasantries, platitudes, or Pollyanna. It is a summation of more than 20 years of research on one subject, and that is, why do some people do so well in life, while so many more do not? And the first thing let's talk about is the magic word. The experts call it the most important word as far as the results we get from life are concerned in this or any other language. And that word is attitude. It is our...
This is how I got on these little records. I would drive around in a car listening to this. Not a good thing to do. I damn near killed myself a couple of times trying to balance a record. But in this record, the one he's just talking about here, the magic word, he says, now right here we come to a rather strange fact. We tend to minimize the things we can do, the goals we can reach, and for some equally strange reason, we think other people can do things we cannot. He says, I want you to understand that's not true, that you've got deep reservoirs of talent and ability within you. Now, if you'd asked me if I understood that, I said, of course I understand it, because I've listened to it 1,000 times. But here I am in the back of the ballroom in the O'Hare Hyatt, and I'm watching Gove, best in the world. He was like the Frank Sinatra of speakers. And he had that audience right in the palm of his hand. And I'm thinking, God, I wished I could do that. Well, at that moment, that record started to play in my head. And I thought, damn, that's what he means by that. If Gove can do it, I can do it. So I made up my mind I was going to do what he was doing, and I was going to get him to teach me. And that's exactly what I did. And you know, the last time that guy, Bill Gove, spoke, he was speaking for me at a big event I was putting on in Florida. And that was in October. He passed away early in December. If he had lived till January, he would have been 90.
Wow.
A phenomenal speaker. Well, I learned that, though, way back when I got this book in 1961. The guy that gave it to me, he said, listen, my way's working, yours isn't. Why don't you do what I'm telling you? Now, I don't know why, but that sunk in. Now, I was 26. I'd been in and out of the Canadian Navy. I never did what I was told. I was forever in trouble for not doing what I was told. And here I am, this guy said, do exactly what I'm telling you. He said, until you find out I'm lying or I don't know what I'm talking about. No, I said, I do know what I'm talking about, and I don't lie. He said, I'm happy, healthy, wealthy. You're unhappy, sick, and broke. I mean, he had a point. And so I started to listen. And everywhere I went, there was a guy in Western Canada, Leland Val Vanderwald, a great big guy. Did a lot of work with your company a long time ago. Mm-hmm. A Dr. Harry Roeder. All the mentors I've had are all gone. I've outlived them all, I guess. Earl Nightingale and Lloyd Conant. And I always did exactly what they said. It just become a way of life. Mm-hmm. If you want to win, find out someone that's doing it right, or certainly better. And I don't know if there's any right way. There's no right way. There's always, everybody will say, my way's the right way. There's a better way, so always a better way, so there's no right way, you know. It could be a good way or a valid way. But you find somebody that's doing what you do as well as you've ever seen it done, and then do exactly what they tell you. I got to the point where I would go anywhere in the world to study someone that was really notable at what he was doing. And I would still do that. It's a simple rule for success. School teaches you nothing about winning. Absolutely nothing. They don't teach anything about earning money. Most people think you go to work to earn money. That's absurd. People that work the hardest earn the least. You go to work for satisfaction. You go to work for satisfaction, you earn money by providing service. And if you want to earn a lot of money, you're going to have multiple sources of income. You go right back to the ancient Babylonians, one of the ancient sects of people, all very wealthy. They all had multiple sources of income. You don't have one, you have many. You can actually earn more money when you're sleeping than you can spend when you're awake, if you know what you're doing.
For sure.
Most
Now,
people don't
Mr.
know that.
Proctor, you're speaking with somebody myself who I kind of followed all the rules growing up. I was a good student. I went to school and, I kind of had that herd mentality, like doing what I was told and all that. And Jazz oddly has the complete opposite story. And I'm kind of coming into this new world of personal development and starting to read these books at a bit of an older age. Perhaps I'm a little less impressionable than somebody in their 20s. What do you say to the people like me who have other naysayers in their life, kind of trying to like hold them down and like keep them from going on this journey? Because we have to break so many habits to kind of start this next chapter in our life to personal growth.
What you just said is the key to success. You talked about habits. You have in your subconscious mind a paradigm. And the paradigm controls your behavior, not your intellect. You could be the smartest person in town. All the knowledge is in your conscious mind. That isn't going to cut it. It's the paradigm, it's the conditioning in the subconscious mind. The paradigm is nothing but a multitude of habits. They're ideas that are fixed in your subconscious mind. They're genetic and they're environmental. You're the confluence of a genetic pool that goes back for generations. I can just look at the two of you and I can tell you you're quite different. Now, Laura, you operate from the right hemisphere of your brain, and Jazz, you operate from the left hemisphere of your brain. They're total opposites.
Yeah.
Where you're very high energy, right brain, very creative. Jazz, you're more left brain, you're analytical, you'd have been a lawyer, accountant, an engineer or something. You're very analytical. I could read your personality from across the street.
Right.
When you start to really study people, the body is the instrument of the mind. It's a dumb terminal at the very best. It just does whatever the mind tells it to do. Well, most people are operating, their paradigm controls them. They're conditioned to live the way they live. A paradigm is nothing but habits. Every country has a paradigm. Every company has a paradigm. Culture is nothing but group habit. That's what it is. So we say this culture is different than that culture. Well, of course, it's a paradigm. It's the habitual way of doing things, of what they eat, how they dress, how they talk. It's all paradigms. When you understand that the paradigm's controlling you, and you learn how to control the paradigm or change the paradigm, that's when you found the key to whatever you want. You can go anywhere you want. I sat down in Glenview, Illinois in 1973. I took a pen in my hand. I said, I'm going to build a company that operates all over the world. Today, we operate in 89 countries, and it's growing every day. We do millions of dollars worth of business all over the world. But I learned how to control my own behavior. I am not controlled by my paradigm. I control the paradigm. And anybody can learn this. It's just that most people never do. Maybe 3, 4, 5% learn it. You'll find absolutely brilliant people that are broke. They've gone through school, they've got the masters, everything you can think of. The lady we have, our housekeeper, she has a granddaughter or something like that. Who's just come back from Manchester in England. She's actually from Colombia. Her family's from Colombia. She's got a master's degree. She doesn't know what to do. And I said, what the hell? What good's the master's?
Common. Yeah.
That's very common, though.
Yes.
You see, we grow up to worship the intellect, and we ignore awareness. It's all about awareness. People don't earn $100,000 a year because they want $100,000 a year. They earn $100,000 a year because they're not aware of how to earn $100,000 a month. Yeah, when somebody tells them they could, they say, oh yeah, I don't believe that. Well, then don't, you know?
Well, and thank goodness for them, because that gives the rest of us opportunity who do believe it.
Well, I think.
Well, there's an infinite supply, so it doesn't matter. I mean, there's no competition. Competition is an amateur's game. Creation. If you're competing, you're not creating. If you're creating, you're not competing. It's dumb to compete. I don't know what other people are doing in our business. I know they're not doing what I'm doing because they're not me.
I wanted to touch on what you said, because something I learned from this book, your book, You Were Born Rich, was the concept of taking your annual income and starting to attract that to become your monthly income. When I read that first, I have to say that I was blown away. First and foremost, thinking, whoa, like my annual income into my monthly income, how am I going to do this? And as I kept on reading and kept on listening, I realized it's not the how. I need to clarify the what and the why. Can you speak a little bit about that, how you came up with that concept?
Sure. Well, you see, I think when we're little kids, we go to the parent or the guardian and say, I want this, how are you going to do that?
Yeah.
As a little kid. Well, of course, what the hell? You don't know how to do anything as a little kid. And because you don't know how, you're supposed to give it up. Forget it. So we grow up with that programming. How are you going to do it? And if you don't know how to do it, you forget it. Well, people have goals. They have no idea how to do it. I'm going to tell you something. Wright brothers didn't know how to fly. Ed Hillary didn't know how to get to the top of Mount Everest. Edison didn't know how to make a light. Knowing how is irrelevant. It's what do you want? If you want it bad enough and you've got that idea in your mind, you will attract how you're going to do it. And it'll come a bit at a time. You don't get the whole message at once. You're not getting a map from here to there. It unfolds. You become aware of this, and then that, and then this, and that, and pretty soon you're already there.
I love it. Now, I want to talk more about and in-depth about the law of attraction. As Laura mentioned, there's so many naysayers, but what you speak a lot about, it exists just like the law of gravity. Can you speak about the law of attraction for somebody who's listening to you for the first time, Bob?
Well, you see, when you start, most people that talk about the law of attraction really don't know what they're talking about. When The Secret came out, there was a few people that could put a book out in a hurry, and they put a book out in the law of attraction. They didn't even know what the hell they were talking about.
Right, and that's why I'm glad to have you on, because you are the master.
Well, you see, the law of gravity, we know anything heavier than air is attracted towards the center of the world. You let it go, it falls. That's a law of the world. Law of attraction is a secondary law. If the primary law is the law of vibration. The law of vibration is a universal law. It's not a physical law. The law of vibration decrees everything moves, nothing rests. The walls around you right now are moving. Now, if you went with a microscope and look at the wall, you'd see the wall moving right before your eyes. All that solid energy, you could look at a piece of steel, it's moving. The body in a coffin is moving. It's not dead. Nothing's created or destroyed. That would postulate the theory, everything's live. So, there's only life. There's no such thing as death. If you go and pick up the remains in a casket and look at it through a microscope, you'll see that body moving. And if it wasn't moving, how in the hell would it ever turn to dust? See, it's constant. The law of vibration decrees everything moves, nothing rests. Well, you have a brain. Your brain is an electronic switching station. And as you think, you activate brain cells. As you activate the brain cells, you cause the body to change its vibration. Like I've got to move brain cells before I could move my arm up and down. I have to activate brain cells that tell my arm to do that. There's intelligence in your body. There's intelligence in everything. Well, the law of attraction is, let's look at it this way. Your phone operates with the law of vibration and attraction. You got my phone number, you can phone me, and we get on the same frequency, we carry on a conversation. We're on the same frequency right now. Mm-hmm. And it's because we're on the same frequency that we can communicate the way we're doing. If we weren't on the same frequency, it wouldn't happen. You could be there and I'm here, but we're not on the same frequency, so we're not talking, we can't see each other. Well, the frequency that you're on dictates what you attract to you. Now, if a person's worried, what are they going to attract? They're going to attract what they worry about. If they're afraid, what are they going to do? They're going to attract what they fear. It's like in the Bible, the great sufferer Job, he says, lo, the thing I fear has come to visit upon me. Well, of course, whatever you focus on, you attract. Now, it doesn't come just bang like that. It attracts. You attract it. People that have a prosperity consciousness attract money. They attract prosperity. It all has to do with consciousness. It doesn't have anything to do with work. We work for satisfaction, not for money. You provide service for money. See, most people hate what they're doing. They don't understand they should love what they're doing. And they say, well, I don't love this. Well, then you should quit. Figure out what you love to do and dedicate your life to it. Then you're getting all kinds of satisfaction. That's what work's for. I love what I do. I absolutely love it. And I've been doing it now for almost 60 years. I love it. I started when I was 26 reading this. I'm 86 now, and I'm still going strong. No intentions of slowing down because I'm doing what I love. Now, if I was doing something I didn't like, I'd probably be dead. Well, you've got to get on the frequency of the good that you desire. And if you're not, you're never going to attract it. See, everything out there, everything's attracted. You attract whatever you're in harmony with. That's how the law of attraction works.
Now, does that
You'll
mean
find
that
people, you'll find people, let's say in real estate, and they're saying, I just can't get a listing. Can't get a listing, can't get a listing. They got no listings. Another person got the damn things coming in, can hardly stop them. So what's the difference? It's consciousness. It's vibration. It's the way we think. Think of this. All the knowledge there ever was or ever will be is 100% evenly present in all places at the same time. All the power there ever was or ever will be is 100% evenly present in all places at the same time. The way to make these phones has always been here. But when I was 15, 16, we didn't have a phone in our house. We didn't have a phone because you couldn't get a phone. And when we did get one, it was a party line. I still remember the number. It was Oxford 3137. I lived down on Silver Birch Avenue. 3137, that was the phone number. And all kinds of other people were on that line. Why? Because we didn't understand the law of vibration. We didn't understand frequencies. Today, millions of phones. Everybody's got their own frequency. What's changed? Awareness. We became aware of how this law functions. The whole universe operates by law. When John Kennedy asked Dr. Wernher von Braun what it would take to build a rocket that would carry a person to the moon, bring him back safely to Earth, he said, the will to do it. He didn't say you're going to need a lot of money, you're going to have to get all the rocket scientists in the world. The will to do it. The will is a mental faculty. Think of this. You and I are the only creature on the face of the earth that's totally disoriented in their environment. People are totally disoriented in their environment. All the other little creatures are completely at home in their environment. They blend in. All the other little creatures operate by instinct, which is perfect, and they blend into their environment. We don't operate by instinct, and we're totally disoriented in our environment because we were given the mental faculties to create our own environment. But they don't teach us that in school. You have faculties the animals don't have. You have perception, the will, reason, imagination, memory, and intuition. I was using my intuitive factor when I told you what you're like, and I don't wonder what you're like. I know what you're like. I know Jazz is a man and Laura's a woman. You'll say, well, Bob, that's brilliant. Well, but I also know Jazz's left brain and Laura's right brain. Now, how do I know that? And it's got nothing to do with male and female. It just has to do with your genetic conditioning. Well, you've got an intuitive factor. You pick up the energy. You can read the energy like a book. The will is a mental faculty that gives you the ability to concentrate. I got on a plane, quite a number of years ago now, and I had a seat in 1B, first seat on the plane. And a little while later, another guy got on the plane. He had a seat in 2A. So we're crisscrossing corner to each other. Shortly after the plane got in the air, he reached over the seats and tapped me on the shoulder. Now, there's somebody sitting beside me and somebody sitting beside him. He said, "I think you can help me." And I laughed and I said, "Well, possibly." He said, "I've been watching The Secret and I'm a golfer. I'm on my way to the FedEx, to the Cup in New York. We're flying out of Phoenix. As I could probably help you a lot." You see, he had to gain an understanding that the will is a mental faculty. And you can develop it to a phenomenal degree. It's like your memory is a mental faculty. You can learn how to memorize this book. I brought a guy to Toronto one time, and he was teaching people to memorize the Bible. And no problem. You've got a perfect memory. We brought a man over for a seminar one time, Abdullah from Saudi Arabia. He was a psychiatrist. He was teaching people to memorize the Quran. Most people can't conceive writing these books. They were teaching them to memorize them. Well, the will is a mental faculty like memory, like perception, reason, imagination. If you take and put a dot on the wall, a black dot opposite your favorite chair, and every time you sit down, stare at that dot. If you find your mind wander, bring it right back to the dot. And keep bringing it back. You can do this a long time. What you're doing is you're developing your ability to concentrate. You're developing the will. That's a very powerful faculty. When you concentrate, there's more power to your thought. Laura, if you're standing in a mall and somebody's behind you and they're staring at you, you'll feel it, won't you?
Yes, I do.
You do. You do. Anybody would. Listen, feeling is conscious awareness of vibration. When somebody's concentrating on you, that's the will. They fixed on you. They're sending a powerful charge of energy from their brain, and it's whacking your brain. And you will feel it and turn around, sure as hell, there's somebody staring at you.
Yeah.
So true. It can be happening.
Most people see what they don't want.
Yes.
What do you say to people who say, okay, fine, I'm not happy. Let me just quit my job. I'm going to go home and really just concentrate on being rich. Is that all that's required?
Well, I'll tell you, usually a person in a white coat comes along and takes them where people get rich like that. You know?
Strap them up.
That's not how it's done. A person shouldn't be working at what they don't like. I think everyone should sit down and ask themselves, what do I really love doing?
Yes.
That's what they should do. That's how they should spend their days, doing what they love. I'm doing what I love. That's got nothing to do with earning money. Now, the fact that I can earn a lot of money doing what I love is a plus. But if I wasn't, I would still want to do this. I can earn money another way. I can set up situations like I earn money all around the world. And I'm not all around the world. I'm sitting right here. But I'm earning money on the other side of the world right now because I've set up situations to do that. I'm providing service in places like that. See, the amount of money you earn is in direct ratio to the need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty there is in replacing you. Take the great singers. They make a record and they earn millions on it. They say, well, that's not fair. Damn right it's fair. Every time that record's playing, they're entertaining all kinds of people. They're entertaining the people, so they get rewarded for that. It's money's reward for service rendered. It's got nothing to do with work. So a person should figure, what do I really love doing? Then dedicate your life to it. But they want to learn how to earn money. Our company teaches people how to earn money. That's one of the things we do. It's one of the things we're really good at. Most people don't know how to earn money. Now, do we charge them to teach them that? Damn right, we charge them quite a bit. But it's worth every cent.
Right.
Because you'll know it for the rest of your life and you never stop learning it.
I wanted you to speak a little bit about the abundance versus scarcity mentality in real estate. Like my team right now is 33 realtors, 10 support staff. In the last 85, 95 days during this pandemic, we've been able to use a lot of your teachings and me personally, where I wanted to make sure I shut out that noise, that negative noise coming from news, go on a news diet. We were able to do a little over 64 transactions at a time where not a lot of business is being done. A lot of it to do with the fact that I didn't think about what people are doing on the outside in our business and in our industry. But me personally, I think a lot about abundance. We talk about here in our office that the pie's big enough, and if we run out of pies, we'll start to bake more. But I want to hear it from you. I want my viewers and listeners to hear it from the master himself.
This idea about the pie, there's only so much pie, is a bunch of crap. If you run out of pie, you make a bigger pie.
Yeah.
You're dealing with an infinite source of supply. There's no limit to the good you can attract. It's got nothing to do with the pandemic. It's got nothing to do with the economy. You're going to find people that are doing really well in the worst economy there ever has been. And you're going to find people that do terrible in the best economy. There's realtors that are they're suffering. Doesn't matter what the economy is. It's in their head. I never listen to the news. It's a waste of time, and you're screwing up your head. You're not going to get any good news there. I read this every day. I listen to these records.
You still read the book and listen to the records, Bob? Just want to confirm
every
that.
day. I've read this book every day since 1961. The book's fallen apart. I'll tell you.
Mental calluses, right? Doing
it
over and over.
Listen to me for a minute. You go to school. Hold on. Here's a book. You go to school, you read the book, and they ask you questions. You answer the questions, you put that book away, and then you get another book. You read it, you answer questions, you put it away, and then you get another book.
Yes.
They got all the answers, but they're not doing anything. The idea of reading the book and then read it again, and then read it again, and then read it again, and then read it again. You see, it's the repetition that fixes the idea in the subconscious mind. When the idea is fixed in the subconscious mind, you automatically do it. No amount of reading or memorizing is going to make you successful. It's the understanding and application of wise thoughts that count. This is so basic and it's so simple, it's missed. You see, a person goes through school, they gather all this knowledge, and yet they're broke. How come? Because knowledge isn't any good if it's not intelligently directed. You've got to organize the knowledge and intelligently direct it. That's one of his principles of success. Napoleon Hill was one of the best authors that ever lived. Andrew Carnegie was his mentor. He studied 500 of the world's most successful people. The composite of the 500 thinking is in this book. Why wouldn't I read it for the rest of my life? Guy, give it to me. He said, listen, he spent his whole life writing it. He said, I think it would be a prudent move on your part to spend the rest of your life trying to understand and apply it. And that's what I'm doing. I know I can get better than I'm at.
Wow.
Better's a nice word. I want to get better at what I'm doing.
So speaking
and that's
of
how
that,
you do that.
In your book, you have a chapter called The Razor's Edge. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the line that separates winning from losing is as fine as a razor's edge. It's not a big thing, it's a little thing. Look at this little card, all right? A gold card. It's a little thing. Write what you want on it. I wrote that I wanted to have $25,000 by 1970. I didn't even believe it. You don't have to believe it. But you've got to keep reading it. If you read a lie often enough, you're going to start to believe it. Hitler proved that way back in the 30s and 40s. He told them a lie so often They believed it was true. There's still people alive that think he was right. It was the repetition of telling the lie. And the people believed it. Now, this is as fine as a razor's edge, a simple little thing, but write what you want on a card and read it every day, read it every day, read it every day, read it every day. Carry it in your pocket. You see, what I wrote on the card was a picture in my mind that I painted with words. So when I get the picture in my mind, it's impregnated into a group of cells in my brain. When I put my hand in my pocket and touch the card, a light message goes spiraling through my central nervous system. It resonates with those particular cells in my brain. They increase in amplitude of vibration, and the pictures in them flashes on the screen of the mind. Now, I'm going to say a word in a minute, Laura, and you're going to bring a picture on your mind that you haven't got there right now, but I'll bring it on your mind because you're going to hear the word. That's the vibration. Think of your refrigerator. What color is it?
It's stainless steel. It's gray.
See? You weren't thinking of that, were you?
Not at all.
No. But when I said your refrigerator, your hearing sense picked up that vibration. It sent a message into your brain, activated cells, and a picture. Come on. What color is your car?
My car's black.
See, you weren't thinking of car. You were when I said your car, the picture come on.
Yeah. It actually.
Well, we're forever activating pictures on the screen of the mind. Keep activating the same picture, and that picture is going to move into form. The guy that gave him the direction to do this, Carnegie, he said, any idea that's held in the mind, that's emphasized, that's either feared or revered, will begin at once to clothe itself in a most convenient and appropriate form available. Now, that's one of the laws of the universe. Energy's forever moving into form, through form and back into form. Go on outside on a nice clear day. You look up into the no thing, into the sky, and you'll see a cloud formation come. Pretty soon the cloud formation will get dark, and then the water comes. From no thing comes the water. Stay there long enough, hold the water in a cup out there, where it'll go, you'll go right back to where it came from. Energy returns to its source of origination. It evaporates.
Why?
All you have to do is concentrate on what you want. You're going to attract it.
And make sure that you put the feelings that you're going to feel when you receive.
Oh, you got to feel it. See, feeling is the language of the subconscious. The subconscious is the universal mind. You've got to feel it. You don't just see it. You get emotionally involved. I tell people to get The Art of Acting by Stella Adler. She was a great method acting teacher. Marlon Brando was one of her students. In fact, he wrote the foreword in the book. Marlon Brando was the first method actor that reached superstardom through method acting. Mm-hmm. He was incredible. Well, Stella Adler wrote a book. And if you read the book on acting, that's what it's all about. Well, we want to begin acting like the person we want to become. Study acting. Act like the person you want to become. Now, do you know why we don't do that? Somebody will say, well, who are you trying to be? Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? And of course, we're concerned with what other people think, so we stay the way they are. You got to get to a point where you don't give a damn what anybody else thinks.
Bob, how did you get to that part? Bob, how did you get to that part? Because I think that's where
most people struggle, myself included. You like to say, I don't care what other people think, and then as soon as you get bad feedback, all of a sudden
you start. It starts to play a big part in your head.
Listen, there's a book. It was written by Terry Cole Whitaker. What you think of me is none of my business.
Yeah, love that.
Get that straight in your head. What you think of me is none of my business. What I think of me is very important. So I've got to the point where I don't care what you think. I hope you like me, and you should. I'm a nice guy, but if you don't, that's your problem, not mine. I like me. See, for a long time, if you didn't like me, oh God, it was terrible. I want everybody to like me.
Yeah.
And the more I studied this, the more I realized that's a dumb game to play. You better like you. Get to the point you like you. You don't like you if you're worried about what they're thinking of you. You got to develop a mental strength. You got to develop a self-image, a confidence that just won't waver.
So it's like everything else you mentioned, repetition, just continuously working on it, practicing it.
Repetition is the key to changing the paradigm.
And
That's
then
why
it
you
becomes
keep reading the book over and over and over again. It's the repetition of reading the same thing.
You probably have memorized
It becomes
that book
fixed in your mind.
The amount of times
Pardon?
you've read it. Like,
How many times have I read this book?
Memorized that book. You can recite it.
Oh, hell, I don't know. Look it. Hold on a minute. I'm not going to tell you what I'm writing here. See this? Look it. I was in here at 5:30 this morning.
Oh.
Now, I didn't write all this, but I wrote a page. The same thing I write over and over and over again. I've been writing the same thing since May the 17th. Now, before that, for a year, I was writing the same thing over and over and over. It was a little over a year. I will write out what I want over and over and over and over and over. I write out what I want 3 times, and then I write down 10 things I'm grateful for. Gratitude is the key. If you start writing down, write out what you're grateful for, your life will change.
The attitude of gratitude. Talk a little bit more
right.
about that. Please talk a little bit more about the attitude of gratitude.
Well, in the science of getting rich, that's what The Secret was founded on.
Mm-hmm.
In the science of getting rich, Wallace Wattles, in chapter 7, it was on gratitude. It's a marvelous book. And on the first page of chapter 7, he said the entire process of mental adjustment and atonement can be summed up in one word: gratitude. Now, when people understand that, they will understand if they're troubled, if they're worried, if they're upset, whenever they need a mental adjustment. If people are upset, they need a mental adjustment. He said the entire process of mental adjustment and atonement can be summed up in one word: gratitude. If you're really upset about something, sit down, start writing out what you're grateful for. Everything changes.
And
Gratitude hooks you up to your source of supply.
We were saying once you start writing down what you're grateful for, as Laura mentioned, your brain will start to look for more of that.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right.
I speak a lot about a brand new car I picked up 2 weeks ago. I did some modifications to the exterior of the car, hoping that nobody, there'd be something a little different, unique. And never saw this car before the way with the modifications. Within 2 days, I saw 7 of them on the highway because the brain started to look for it.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, with the millions upon millions that you've coached and have overwatched in your programs, Bob, what is it about some of them that just, why don't they get it? Why don't they understand the fact that the law of attraction works?
The paradigm is so strong. The self-image is so strong. They're not open to new ideas. They don't really understand themselves. You see, someone else in real estate could think you're so much better than them. They don't understand you're exactly the same as them. You only appear different. Your results are different, but you're no different. It's what we do that's different. It's the way we think. And when people really start to understand who they are, there's 2 things you have to know if you want to win. You got to know where you are, you got to know where you're going, and you got to be moving in that direction. Most people say, well, they don't have a goal. Well, that's usually a problem, but that's not the real problem. The problem is they don't know where they are. They don't know who they are. They don't know what the hell's going on inside. They've never studied themselves. They read a book, well, they say, oh yeah, I read that book. Yeah, well, how many times did you read it? What do you know about what's inside it? It's got the essence of 500 of the world's most powerful people in here. You get that in here, and you're going to change your life. That's what I'm doing.
For any of the viewers that are wondering, and if you're driving in your car, taking your dog for a walk right now, the book that Bob is referencing is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Bob, I have to say, and for the listeners and viewers again, I attracted this conversation. I've been wanting I've had a little over 116, 117 guests on this podcast. When I started this podcast 2 years ago with Laura, you were one of the guests that I wanted to bring on. I had no idea how you would come into my life.
You were probably made fun of for it, for even
dreaming that I was going to get the legend that you are. And so thank you so much for not only doing this with us, but for everything that you have done and for what you're about to do. We are so excited. I am personally very excited to see more of what you're up to. Please leave our viewers and listeners with one tip.
I'll tell you, I'll send you a recording, a video.
Okay.
It's Connecting the Dots. It's a brand new one. We just put it out within the past month.
Okay.
Send it to anybody that wants it.
Okay.
We'll send you the link. You can send it to anybody that wants it. If a person wants one thing, sit and think of what you really want. Quit looking at what you've got. Quit thinking of why you can't. Just think of how you will. What do you want, and think of how you will. Now, we'll send that. People go to our site. They go to bobproctor.com. I'm sure that's there. And you can get the Born Rich book. We give it away. You can download it for nothing. We've got a program we're doing on this. You ought to think of getting in it, where I'm going to teach. I wrote this after studying the material for about 23 years. I wrote it in 1983, 84. It's been 36 years since then. The subject matter in here is incredible, the various subjects. I've studied this for 36 years since I wrote the book. I'm going to do a master class on this. I think we start within a week or so. People from all over the world, and we're doing it for 2 hours every week for 6 months. I'm going to teach the subject matter in this book. Not teaching the book, I'm teaching the subjects that are in the book.
How do we get more information? Is that bobproctor.com?
Tommy will give you the information. He'll give you the information. Yeah, he's online. He'll contact you. And people go to bobproctor.com, get the book. We'll give it to them. Listen, there's no reason for anybody being stuck. Quit watching the news. Forget this pandemic. Forget the damn thing. You're not going to change it, so forget it. You can say, but it's bad. I don't care. If you can't change it, forget it. Focus on what you can change yourself. Change your own attitude. Change your own focus. Change your own frequency. And you'll start getting what you want. That's what we focus on.
This is exactly what
Anybody goes to bobproctor.com, they get on our list, we'll start inundating them with good information.
And I love that. I love that you said we'll start inundating them, because I truly believe that you need to immerse yourself into this new language, this new way of life, not to throw a stone at Rosetta in terms of her program, but if you ever want to learn a new language, immerse yourself.
Laura and Jazz, I built this studio. It's in my backyard. I've got a television. This is literally a television station. We can broadcast and do all over the world from here. I was doing a seminar here, a month ago, to 119 countries, thousands of people. A 3-day program. I sat and dreamed about doing this, and so one day I said, to hell with it, I'm going to do it. So I built, it's literally a TV station. Thing that blows my mind is that I got the permit to build the damn thing. And it's right here, it's really close to where you are.
We would love to do
and we can broadcast all over the world from here.
We would love to do a live recording with you in your studio. I'll bring my camera, guys. If you're ever okay with that, we would be honored to do it in your studio.
You don't need to bring any cameras. This place is full of cameras. We got cameras that come out of the ceiling here. I'm looking right now. I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cameras here in the studio.
He's like you.
I'm looking at 3 monitors. Just looking ahead, I can see 3 monitors.
That's amazing. Well, if we
you would love this place. This is like a dream. You walk in here, you would love this place.
Are you okay, Bob? And I would never want to put you on the spot and overstep my boundaries.
No, we come over. Listen, you make an appointment. Get Tommy. He'll make an appointment. You come on over.
Done. Thank you so much. Thank you. We'll have all the links in the description. I can't say it enough. You really, truly are the master thinker. And again, thank you for putting so much positivity and optimism out in the world.
The truth, Laura and Jazz, I'm just Bob. You're just Jazz, you're just Laura. The difference in us and everybody else maybe is what we think. And that determines what we've got. Life can be incredible, but you've got to make it that.
Well, it might not matter to you, but we love you, Bob.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you. Been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Jazz, I've enjoyed it. Thanks very much.
This has been the REC Experience Podcast with Jazz Takhar, an REC Canada production.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching and listening. Please take a second right now to subscribe and follow us on whatever podcast platform you're watching or listening. It means the world to me. Thank you.